we stole these tapes, and of course, all those songs were never heard by anybody because they never got put out.
Because we stole the tapes.
Yeah. And
well, that's what I do. I destroy my own career.
Yeah.
Before anybody else hears it.
So I kept thinking, like, yeah, he'll do something with it, and he's not doing anything with it. So I'm like, okay, time to write some songs. Write some new songs, new life, new thing. So it's like, okay, so he comes up with the acoustic guitar and starts, we record tons of different versions of acoustic songs.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, and then we started to form the Patrick Dennis at the time EP, Atlantic Man.
Right, which became the Wire Pony Atlantic.
Yeah,
Atlantic EP, right?
And later turned into a Wire Pony, and so we did the EP, which again he didn't.
Actually, was probably the first form of the Truckee Brothers, actually. But
so Wire Pony predates the Truckee Brothers.
That first set of recordings that became the Atlantic.
And the same with Adam Moore.
Yeah.
The first EP, the first records of Adam Moore do predate Truckees.
Yeah, and so because he was doing his solo thing, I was doing mine, and so he had the EP, and we were gonna put it out, and it wasn't getting put out, and he had these new songs, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's record these songs.
The worst thing for Katie is to have stuff recorded and not put out.
Oh gosh, I hate that.
And I am his absolute demon. Because I will record, and I will rework, and I will record, and I will rework, and then I will refuse to put stuff out.
Yeah.
And he hates that.
I hate it because.
And think about it. If you work on something so hard and so passionately, and you do your best, you want people to see it or hear it, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that he hates because I will sit on that stuff.
I don't know how many times I remixed the Atlantic EP and all that stuff. And then
we did. We even remixed it after it was mastered. Yes. We went back and re-recorded bits on that Atlantic EP and re-recorded it and remixed it.
What's the Atlantic EP you're talking about?
This is the Wire Pony EP, which I gave you a very special copy of tonight because nobody actually has it. It's now available as a free download on the Populux website.
Okay.
But it should be on iTunes,
and it will be eventually.
Eventually, because it's going to cost you a whole bunch of money to do digital download only.
Look, I got to deal with the label and the distributor one thing at a time. And right now, the Truckee Brothers is more important than my Wire Pony.
There's great songs on that EP.
So tell me about
they're going to be heard.
So tell me about Atlantic Man.
Atlantic Man actually is probably it really is the blueprint for the Truckee Brothers, in the sense that I had been in a lot of bands. I'd been in a band called the McInerney's here. I'd been in a band called Liam in Manchester, England. I'd been in the Homer Guns with Frank Lee Drennan from Dead Rock West. But it had been a while since I'd written with anybody. And we walked in, and I had this fragment, this Atlantic Man fragment. And I had it pretty much figured out, except I didn't really know riff-wise what to do. And Katie came up with this riff, and I said, well, hell, let's write it right now. And we wrote the song, and we both wrote these lyrics, and we made this thing happen, and we shaped the song, and we recorded it really fast, and we threw up the drums. We played the drums, he played the bass, and I thought, this is really interesting, we can do this.
And then we did some hoot hoots.
And we did some hoot hoots. We did them live. It was so fun. We both on the mic doing the Keith and Mick hoot hoots, And then we recorded. Then we wrote and recorded another song that afternoon called Toro Toro.
Yeah, exactly.
And we recorded these things, and I had these other couple of songs that I demoed already, and I wanted to do, and we did those, and we kind of shaped them together, and while it was meant to be a solo record, it was meant to shape into a solo album for me. We'd had all these other songs we'd been working on and these things we were shaping. Is that that experience, I think, made us realize when we got booked as the Truckee Brothers, ultimately, I think about 6 months later, we realized that, well, we know we can work together, so let's just write some songs and do this thing.
Yeah.
So if it really wasn't for those early tracks, those early Wire Pony tracks, the experience of those tracks, regardless of what the tracks are, well, there wouldn't be a Truckee Brothers.
Yeah.
Because it already, we've been jumping up on stage with each other for years. You know, I'd play a show and I'd say, hey man, you come down the show tonight, you know, bring your guitar.
Bring your GoPro.
You know, or whatever it was. And I'd pull him up in the middle of the show and I wouldn't let him go for the rest of the show.
Yeah, I'm like, what key are we in?
And usually G or C. And it was that, yes, that's Mag Wheels.